Inside the Birds is back. What's going on, everybody? It's Geoff, Mosher, and Adam Caplan. You're listening to this on Monday morning, and it's kind of probably going to be different from you because of the Thursday night game. This is not going to be a game review. We've done that already. It's going to be our normal midweek tape review podcast of the Eagles' 22-21 win over the Giants. So we'll get into that, and obviously our next podcast, Adam, in the middle of the week, will probably keep it more geared toward, some of the injuries that are going on and who's some of the changes that might be made from a personnel standpoint as they go into that Dallas game and really, what the team is going to look like going forward. There will be some news this week.
Actually, that show is going to be trade deadline stuff, which I'm working on. We did this last year.
Right, that too.
That's going to be a kind of a focus of that show. We'll have injury updates on this show. We'll further updates on Wednesday morning show. Trade deadline stuff. Potential lineup changes coming with all these guys coming. We're going to have further word on injuries. We'll know a lot more because they're actually practicing.
Sure.
Later on Monday, they do the very light workout, and then Wednesday is when the real practices start. And they're going to get, believe it or not, folks, they're going to start getting some good news this week. A little bit here and there, and then week 10 after their bye is when a bunch of guys should start coming back, weeks 10 and 11. So, but as you said, net neutral. I was going there, dude. That might be the line of the bleeping year. Line. Explain that.
Well, I've been saying it's been net negative where you get two guys back, but then you lose three. Like, for example, against the Giants, who did they get back? They got back Deshaun Jackson, and they got back somebody else. And now we know Deshaun left. I forget who Avonte Maddox. Yeah. So they were active, but in the process, they had already lost Malik Jackson, they had already lost Lane Johnson, and they'd already lost Miles Sanders. So while you get guys back, you keep losing people. And at some point, Adam, net neutral would actually be a welcome addition for it. It means you gain as many as you lose and lose as many as you gain.
Unbelievable. I've never seen
maybe by the end of the year, we'll actually get a week where it's net positive. Can we get that?
Right. Okay, so that would mean nobody gets hurt and they actually get guys back for that game, right?
That's right. Or if you get one guy hurt, but you got two guys back. No matter what you do, you're plus one or more.
They have a chance to be net positive for injuries. So on defense, because they don't have a lot of them.
That's right.
It's really an offense that their depth has been decimated on the offensive line. Their starter group is out. They got guys out for the year. Guys come back later. Guys come back in a week or two. So I guess we could get started there, and then we'll get to the tape review. But, Miles Sanders, Geoff, I don't know exactly what the knee injury is. I was just told up to 2 weeks.
Very odd thing with him, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like an awkward – it was on the run, the really nice run he had long run 2 weeks ago, and the awkward way that he was tackled. But anyway, so to me, if he doesn't practice fully this week, if he comes back at all this week, he's not playing. You might as well, with that bye, get his knee right. You need him for the stretch. We'll see if they add any running backs at the trade deadline. More running backs got hurt on Sunday, so it's not going to be around the National Football League. It's not going to be easy. Then Jalen Reagor, so you'd reported 2 weeks ago that he got the cast off.
Yeah.
Everything I heard says still week 10, Geoff. Have you heard anything differently?
We're going to find out a little bit more this coming week. So here's what I believe based on what I'm told. And some of this is still up in the air. So I'm going to give you more like my vibe on what the vibe is. He's already missed 4 games and he was on IR. So he can technically come off IR. I suspect they will activate him into the 21-day window this week. Which means he may not be, doesn't mean he's going to play, but it gives him the opportunity to get him out on the practice field if they want to and see. That happened to Vinny Curry. I think he was activated. He took 1 week and then he played the next week. So we'll see. Obviously, the Eagles don't have that next week. It's the bye. But
that's kind of weird. Yeah.
Right. My sense is if he continues to be this quick healer and things come together, like I believe I said on the pregame show Thursday night, I'm leaving the door ajar for this to happen, for him to possibly play against Dallas. It's not set in stone, but I don't think it's been completely ruled out either. So we'll have to see this week.
Good, positive.
And obviously, you can't make that determination now. You have to see how the
of course. That's the thing with these surgeries. I've never seen them have so many ankle injuries. We'll get into that in a second. And that's the problem with guys who are coming back from surgeries or broken ankles and so forth, surgeries. you don't know till you get there. They have to practice first, then you have to see how they feel the next day and the next day and the next day. So it's good that he got it off. So we'll see this week, but that's a positive. Deshaun Jackson, as I suspected, was not just a high ankle sprain, way worse than that. I'd said last week before I got the MRI results, before I heard what happened, I said, I think it's going to wind up being broken. That was the early word I had, but they wouldn't be able to get it confirmed until he had the testing. And it was, unfortunately. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. My sense is it's probably closer to 8. They do believe,
really.
Yeah, well, they do believe it could come back for the end of the regular season. Is the word that I got. So
sounds like last year.
Yeah, well, you know what though? It doesn't matter because to me, it's all about Hightower and Reagor, and we're going to get in on Wednesday's show. Another thing, the great thing about this weird thing having their game on Thursday, we're going to be able to go into we're going to be able to go over the wide receiver depth chart and kind of what we're hearing on where we think guys will line up and how that depth chart's going to look like. They'll have made some more roster moves by Wednesday. They actually may have a trade by then. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe.
Well, if you're going to trade, you're going to trade this week. If you want them to play, well, actually for the Eagles, it doesn't matter because they're off in week 9.
Right.
But the teams that are playing a week 9, you're really going to want to make a trade this week because of the acclimation period of 6 days. You got to get guys in there. So from the Eagles' standpoint, though, moving on with the injuries, let's get to Zach Ertz. Yeah, he's got a high ankle. I'm told it's 4 to 6 weeks. Knowing how Zach rehabs, and he typically comes back from surgeries or injuries in this case a lot earlier than the estimate. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's back for that Cleveland game in week 11. And
well, the question on him is he playing for the Eagles by week 11? I think we'll be talking about that more on Wednesday. But,
yeah, well, he's hurt. It's hard to trade for guys hurt, and I need to get some stuff clarified on the rules and so forth this year. I'm trading guys. Goddard on his broken ankle, he may do limited work this week, but my sense is he'll play. Well, let's put it this way: he's going to practice more in weeks 10 or 11, leading up to whenever he could play. So that's where that is. Richard Rodgers, boy, did he do a good job. We'll get to that in a minute in the tape study. Really a lot better than I thought he would do. But again, these ankles, man. Let's move to Lane Johnson. He's got a minor MCL sprain, grade 1. Here's the thing. There's no reason he should play this week.
And I'm going to sound like an armchair quarterback here, although I think I said this last week.
Okay.
I just feel like it's, and look, I'm not a doctor. I can't tell you that the MCL sprain was caused by the fact that he's playing on a gimpy ankle, but I think that you probably could get that medical opinion of someone to say, yeah, when you're laboring in one area and you're favoring it, you have a chance of hurting another area. He shouldn't be playing. He shouldn't be, and I believe, and listen, I'm not criticizing him, but that's why coaches and medical people are there. Although really it's more coaches. Medical people say he's good enough to play or he's not. The player then can make his mind up, as you've mentioned many times. But the coach can say, it doesn't matter, I'm not playing you because I'm going to hold out for you to be 100%. And I feel like the way we've seen Lane in and out of the lineup, constantly battling through pain, makes me feel like they should have cut this thing off of the head weeks ago, give him a week or two. I know the pressure to play guys, but you've had him in and out of the lineup for many weeks now. I feel like it's been a bad idea, a bad approach that they've had with Lane.
Well, yeah, and now he's coming off that ankle surgery, that tightrope surgery. He came back too early. I know Lane's a tough guy. He wanted to do it for his teammates, but he came back too early. And then there's Jack Driscoll. He's day-to-day now, but it doesn't sound like he's playing this week. So you got that problem there. Right tackle now is a problem. Jason Peters, there's a chance he comes back and does limited work this week. Better chance after the bye. We'll see if he can do anything this week. I don't know yet. Didn't get from a source. Didn't get the feeling like he'd be able to play this week. Better chance again after the bye. Defensively, quadriceps injury from Malik Jackson. Didn't sound like he was going to play this week.
Oh, really? Wow, that's not good. By the way, before you go to defense, because we should talk about Alshon a little bit. We didn't mention.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, geez, who the hell knows?
This is my personal.
I wave my hands. I don't know anything with this one. It's a real injury, by the way. The calf injury is real.
It's my personal feeling here. All right. He's not going to play for the Eagles this year.
Why?
For a variety of reasons. This injury has obviously lingered, right? You've made this point. And I co-sign on it. Even when even if he's 100% ready to play, are you taking Travis Fulgham off the field?
Hell no.
No. So is it worth the 10 snaps that you're going to try to wedge Alshon Jeffrey in?
Well, a couple things here. If he's healthy enough, I mean, Fulgham, sure, he's going to be the starting X the rest of the season. That's not up to debate. But what is up to debate is who's going to back him up. Would you rather have Alshon Jeffrey or J.J. Arcega-Whiteside?
Oh, I'd probably rather have Alshon Jeffrey, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's. I mean, if you could give
All
me.
right, so let me couch my statement. If Fulgham stays healthy, I don't know what you're going to see from Alshon Jeffrey this year.
Yeah, but again, you don't have to play him 80% of the snaps. If it's 70%, okay, fine. Or if he's, I don't have the snap counts since he started playing.
I get that in theory that you could do that. I just get this sense that, and I'm not reporting this. I'm just my own personal feel.
Sure.
I don't think he's gonna. I think he's gonna wind up not playing. So,
Look. It's to the point with this guy. I give up with trying to figure this one out. Just when I think it's, you hear from people, everything's good, man. It's all good to go. He's the foot's good. He's going to play soon, and then he has this mysterious calf injury. I'm like, what? Where did this come from? But I'm not. Whatever.
Let me couch it. Let me phrase it this way. If you're Alshon Jeffrey, right? You're getting cut after this year. You absolutely know this is your last year with the Eagles, right? So when you're going into free agency and you already have an injury history and you're already north of 30, the last thing you want to do right now is further injure yourself, correct?
I guess, but you also got to show people you're over your injuries, man.
I think it's a calculated way of whether you want to show people or you're looking around at every single teammate that you got and they're all out 2, 3, 4 weeks, and you know what, you're coming off a surgery yourself, and at the end of the day you might just say, you know what, I don't know if I want to do this. So we'll see. I just get this. It's again, I'm not reporting anything. It's just my own sneaky suspicion.
Well, look, the signs are not good. I mean, this is ridiculous already. Mm-hmm. They missed on the timeline for him. I mean, I understand they go by the information that they have at a given time. It was just a miss. They thought he'd be back by week 6. He wasn't. That's a shame. We've been through this already about how that screwed up their roster in terms of what they could have done with that roster spot. But it is what it is.
Right.
The defense. We mentioned Malik Jackson. I didn't think, from based on what I heard, he'd be back this week. But we'll find out more on Wednesday when the real practice start. Whatever happens Monday is irrelevant to him. A guy playing this week. Right. Monday's a light practice. It doesn't matter. The practice week always starts Wednesday for a Sunday game. Hassan Ridgeway tore his biceps. A little pro tip for people with chart injuries like myself. When a team immediately rules a guy out within 5 minutes, it's probably going to be a bad injury.
Yeah.
They didn't even put questionable. I mean, it was great. It was out.
Okay. And that's a tough one. Torn biceps has claimed a lot of good players, and now this is the second year in a row he's had a season-ending injury. It's too bad because I like him. He's a good rotational player.
Good fourth DT. So they're okay there. TJ Edwards, I'm told he's got a grade 1 hamstring strain. He could have played last week, but he had to serve the third game of the IR rule. You have to miss 3 games, not weeks. It's 3 games. So he'll be back this week. So we'll actually have 5 or 6 linebackers. If they want them, they can do that. Craig James had a thigh injury. It's minor. I believe it's minor. We will see when he's available. He's like a fourth corner, inside and outside, special teamer. And then Kevon Wallace, that's a pretty decent shoulder injury from what I heard. So this might be at least a few weeks. They've got pretty much a full house anyway at safety, so he wouldn't see much playing time the rest of the season if everybody's healthy. Right. But he could help them in on special teams, and provide some depth. So that's all I know on injuries, my man. It's we'll see again. Wednesday's key. Yeah, let's see what happens. Let's
sum this up then. Of all the names we just went through, the only people who are likely to play then against the Cowboys are TJ Edwards.
Yep.
Is that fair?
Correct.
And I'm looking at all the offensive names.
Well, here are the maybes.
Maybe Jalen and maybe Miles, but that.
Okay, yeah. Here, let me go through the list quickly. Mm-hmm. Maybe Sanders, maybe Reagor, maybe Lane Johnson. I'd put him in the very questionable to doubtful category. This is me personally not reporting it, just what I know about his injuries. It's, again, use some logic here, people. Don't have him play. I know it's easy for us to say this on the outside, but don't you want him ready for – you're in the division race here. Believe it or not, you have a good chance to win this division. Get the guy right physically. Malik Jackson maybe didn't sound like it, but I'm going to give him at least a chance. I don't know anything about Craig James' injury, about when he's going to return. So there you go.
All right, so just one definite. I mean, we talked about how beat up the Eagles were in that Giants game. They're really not that much better unless some of these maybes trend toward, definitely or pretty certainly later at the end of the week. That's basically what we're dealing with. They're pretty much the same team unless some of these maybes trend toward yes.
Well said.
Which is not
yes,
great.
You're right. You're right.
It's not great. All right, we will get it. Let's get into the tape breakdown. Before we do that, we tell you all the time, and I hope you're doing it, go over to phlsportsnation.com because they cover all 4 Philly teams. Make it 5 because they cover the Union really well too, like nobody else, enhancing the fan experience with their great coverage of all those teams and their great content and podcasts. So check them out on Twitter at phlsportsnation and on their website, phlsportsnation.com. We'll pause real quick now for another word from another great sponsor. All right, Adam, would you like to start with offense or defense for this tape?
Yeah, offense, like always, my man. Let's get started with.
Let's do it.
Yeah, let's start with 11. And I feel a little bit better about this because when you're watching on TV, because it looked really bad for Wentz on TV, and I know the line didn't play well, but based on what I was told, there were at least a third of his throws where there was traffic around him, or he simply could not step into his throws.
Right.
So when you have a situation like that, I mean, you can't blame it all on him. Now, some of the throws were just off. That's on him.
Mm-hmm.
But too many throws, he couldn't step into it because pressure came from in the middle, which is what you would expect with with the 2 guards as backups.
Yep.
You got to expect
that. Opeta struggled. I know we'll get into that, but Opeta got pushed back a lot.
Yeah, and that was part of it. So, listen, it's funny. When we did the pregame show, when I put the report out that I was hearing that Opeta was going to start, I knew what the challenges were with him from a scouting standpoint, from talking to some people that scouted him for the draft a couple of years ago. And I knew that he's not where Herbig is, clearly is not. But you like his size. He has better athleticism than Herbig. But he had some plays where he was just flat out lost. But he's big, and there's some plays you could see his power.
Yeah.
But he's just not as advanced as Herbig, and I think that really showed from what I understand. But getting back to Carson, he had some good throws. He had some throws he'd like to have back. He was not – it's just funny how you face a lesser defense than the 2 games before where he played much better. And this game he didn't play as well. I mean, I don't understand it, but, it's football. It happens.
Ebb and flow. I talk about it all the time.
Right,
yeah.
right. So, okay, so he didn't play as well. It's disappointing. He missed Fulgham for a touchdown on the crosser to Deshaun in the red zone. Great move by Fulgham. The kid is special. I'm still in awe of this Travis Fulgham, this player, and the whole thing is just absurd. These things shouldn't happen. Like, what the hell was Green Bay and Detroit thinking? The Eagles were very lucky they got him. I don't know where they'd be without him, but getting back to Wentz, I expect him to do better this game. It's funny because if you look at the numbers, 25 for 43, 359, 2 touchdowns, you'd say, wow, what a game he had.
Mm-hmm.
But he forced some throws. Before we move on, this is the way I sum him up in 10 seconds. He's still trying to do too much. He's still trying to be a hero. And it's kind of like he feels like, hey, I don't have a lot around me. I got to make guys better. I got to try to fit this thing in. You don't need to do that. It's a shame, but that's kind of where he's at.
I know. If he had the same type of mentality of understanding the circumstances, knowing that he's got enough around him in the fourth quarter where he can use his legs, he can make throws. If he can just think to himself going into a game, and really this is a coach. I mean, how often do we talk about this? I'm sure our listeners are tired of hearing us saying it, but if a coach could just convince him that, look, man, you know what, we're going to, against teams like the Giants, right, just limit your mistake, that we can beat them without you being a hero from the start to the finish. Just don't make the ugly mistake. Don't throw across your body.
Oh, that pick. Oh.
No. I'm talking about the one that almost was picked, the one where he rolled right
it was dumb.
Left.
But that was awful.
And then the pick, just those two. That's all. Those 2 throws are throws where he can simply have the mentality of, I don't need to make that play. All right?
Right.
Throw the ball away. But I know some people think, and there's something to be said about it, Adam, that you can't have that mentality sometimes and then sometimes not, which is basically saying, like, you got to take the good with the bad in this situation with Carson, because he just feels the same mentality of, I got to make a play here, I got to make a play here, that gets him in trouble in the first.
It's also how he's coached.
Being the play he makes in the fourth.
I agree. He's also the way he's coached.
Agree.
I struggle to believe that they're getting through to him. I just do. I mean, I know the way he needs to be coached. He needs to be coached very hard. It's not just showing him; it's telling him. It's delivering a message that he's going to accept.
Mm-hmm.
And I that's just my opinion. It's just studying him for now 5 years, kind of where I'm at, and why he's not gotten back to the 17 level. Although I would tell you, you're seeing flashes of it every game. Boy, did you see it in Pittsburgh and against Baltimore?
Yeah, it's a shame.
Yeah, but look, he's fighting it, as they say. I thought Cosell said it, and then Trey Thomas has said it, and we had Jamal Jackson was phenomenal, by the way, in our last show. If you haven't seen it, it's still pinned to our Twitter profile. You could also see it on YouTube. The high level offensive line and football talk between Trey and Jamal and you and I, Geoff, was off the hook. I was in fact, I might watch that. I'm probably going to watch it again. It was so entertaining. The storytelling also, by the way, some of the stories they were telling were phenomenal, but the high level football talk, and I learned a lot from those guys on our last show.
Yeah, if you're a trench junkie, especially like we are, that was really good talk. But to get back to Carson, to me, it's a shame when we say he's not going to be 2017, because I think he could be if he had a functional line in front of him and some weapons.
True. Very
you
fair.
could see him developing the rapport with Fulgham and his receivers.
Yes.
To the point where you say, A, if the coaching was a little bit harder on him, and B, if the personnel around him was a little better. Something very close, if not a carbon copy of.
I agree.
2017, he wasn't the most accurate quarterback either, but he made so many big plays. That could happen, and I just don't know if it's ever going to be like that this season.
I'll say this. Okay, let me just move that along. That's good stuff. I would say this. When he gets Reagor to go along with Hightower, he's got Fulgham. Goddard will be the first guy back to the two tight ends. And if he could get a reasonably built offensive line, I'm talking about healthy guys, maybe mentally he doesn't press as much. I'm not him. I'm just trying to figure out why he's pressing so much.
You know what we have to answer is when Sayamalu comes back.
I don't know. It's another one. We'll have it for Wednesday. No problem.
Yeah, if I think he's almost the key.
I forgot about him. Yeah.
To the line, because if he can come back and play left guard,
he's sprained knee. I know that. I just don't know what it is.
Right. So if he plays left guard and Mailata has been improving at left tackle and Kelsey's the center, that enables you to either play Peters or Herbig. Actually, you probably would play, as you've been saying, you play Peters, and Herbig is a perfect backup guard. And then you can use Pryor or Driscoll. He'll be back eventually at right tackle if Lane Johnson gets hurt. You get something much closer to what you want to be if you're able to Sayamalu at left guard and Peters playing well at right guard.
Right.
At least until he gets hurt.
I agree. The reason why I've been so hard on Wentz is because I know how talented he is and gifted. And studying the quarterback position for 21 years and watching so much tape with people I respect, I know what it needs to look like. And, we've pointed out sometimes when he forces throws. He's not Aaron Rodgers. I mean, he's not Brett Favre. That's, people liken him to Brett Favre. Sure, there's certain Favrean type throws, if you will, that he tries, but some it's like you don't have it. Like the interception, awful decision, awful, just no reason. And the other one you were talking about. But the good thing is he's gotten significantly better than he was in the first 3 games, Geoff. He has really improved. That's a good thing.
He is. I feel for him. I really wish he had more around him, because I do think we could see him start to be special again.
That's part of it.
And, you've seen it in flashes, but unfortunately it's really hard with this offensive line. And as Jaws told us on ITV TV 2 weeks ago, with so much in your face, even when you're not getting hit.
Oh, in this game.
And then getting hit. Yeah. We didn't talk about – I mean, he's getting hit double digits every single game, and those are just the charted hits when a defender hits you when you are a passer. What about the times he's running? What about the times he's blocking on the Wildcat? It's just so much mileage on his body. It adds up. I just hope he makes it through the season. I really do. Because it bothers me that people say, oh, he's so injury prone. Oh, he gets hurt. Oh, he's a paper. Obviously that's other fan bases really. But it's like, my God, how could you not get hurt when you're getting hit 15 times a game? Who can withstand that?
No, and exactly. You would ask me on our last show, and I would be concerned about it. If people say he's injury prone, he was not even on the injury report once last year. Like, that's unheard of for a quarterback. Not even once. Think about that. He got knocked down the Seattle game by a cheap shot by Clowney, but oh well. All right, so that's Wentz. I mean, we probably spent a little bit too much time there, but look, it's an important position. Boston Scott was better in this game. The touchdown catch was awesome, and what a great throw by Wentz. But they still need somebody to grind the yards inside. They need a veteran in there. They need to do something at the trade deadline. I know they don't want to spend money. I know they want to trim, if anything, because they got a major issue next year. I'm well aware of it, but they got to do something. Can you get a veteran in there with size?
You know who I've been yelling for 2 weeks now, and I can't even believe it would be hard to get him. Right?
Frank Gore.
Frank Gore. Go get Frank Gore.
I got one for you. I got one for. He's with Detroit. Bo Scarborough came back. He did a great job for the Lions last year. He's definitely expendable because Kerryon Johnson's not even getting any playing time. It's now Swift and Peterson.
Right.
Scarborough was inactive on Sunday, and
why wouldn't you get Kerryon?
Kerryon I would take. He's better, but I'm not giving up anything for running back. I'm just not doing it.
No.
I don't want to. I'd rather do player for player, not even give up a draft pick. The Eagles are in a situation now. They got to be able. They need picks. They need to get younger, and they need to get these picks right. So we'll see. The reason why I mentioned Scarborough because I remember Phil Savage, who I work with at ESPN, is a good friend of mine, and Phil said to me before he went to the Jets, we were talking about Scarborough and why he never made it. He goes, "This kid's really good. He's got to go somewhere where they'll give him a chance," and he. One to Detroit, got pressed into service when Johnson got hurt last year. Kerryon's had a bunch of knee injuries, but when Kerryon got hurt, he went in there, did a good job, but they're loaded at running back now, so they don't really need him. So that, again, it's just me speaking here because I know that doesn't have a role there. So anyway.
Frank Gore did have 60 yards, by the way, on 11 carries against
against
one of his 700 former teams, the Bills.
What would you give up for him?
6th. You don't think Joe is going to – you think the Jets are holding on to
I'm sure he'd move him. I mean, what's the point? Let Michael Pirine play the rest of the season. Get a look at him. And
6.
Yeah, I would because he's a pass protector. That's actually a great idea, man. I love Gore. He's such a great player.
I don't even know what's holding him up. I mean, I'm surprised a couple of teams maybe haven't called. And that's the only thing that maybe –
well, we got time this week. Yeah, we got time as the week progresses. So
right. So you mentioned Fulgham got open for the touchdown, but Carson missed him. I thought he had another really good game catching the ball.
The 40-yard catch.
Oh, that was good.
Oh, so good. What a great story. Such a great kid. It's just one of the more remarkable stories you'll ever see. It's almost hard to believe, but it's true. And now they've got their X of the future. Think about this is the beauty of it. They don't need to draft an X early because they have this kid. This stuff, we all see it. Everyone listening sees it. We all watched it. We've all seen it. The kid is highly skilled. He's got great hands, terrific route runner. That's the area I was told from people in scouting that they didn't see this. His advanced route running, they had no idea he was this good. Like, you can't know everything when you're in scouting.
Right.
Because he was a 6th-round pick who started football late.
Yeah,
and you just didn't know him. It's
we have no idea like what the Old Dominion wide receiver tree looks like. I don't even know what kind of offense that they run. A lot of good wide receivers in college don't get the accolades, right, or don't get noticed from the scouts because they maybe have either bad quarterbacks, and I'm going to imagine the ODU quarterback is no John Elway. I don't know. Who knows? Sure. But they also – or they play in run-heavy offenses. There are still those in college. Spread type or I'm sorry I was going to say wishbone, but not really that. But just run-heavy offenses where the quarterback is a runner and a thrower, and you just don't see wide receivers running every single route. So I can understand if you didn't see all this out of Travis.
And one thing I would add is, folks, if you're watching this on the YouTube version of this, watch the way he catches the football. He catches it correctly, the Chris Carter way. Palms are up. They're not turned. The hands are not turned up with palms up like this. That is the way. That's the way that some of the receivers over the years who played for the Eagles caught the ball, which is incorrect. Catch it like this, hands up, palms out like this, and away from your body. He's just, I don't know what to tell you. And the kid, I wouldn't to call him fast, but he moves better than I expected. That's the other part about his game, other than being 6'2". He really can move pretty well.
Yeah, no, I agree. When you're 6'2", you don't normally run a 4.2 or 4.3, but he can get down the field pretty well. And, Alshon was like that a little bit. Alshon was
Nothing like
considered
this. Not even
no,
remotely
I
close.
know. He's considered kind of this slow receiver who would dull or lull corners into thinking he can't run, but he can run a little bit. And then obviously he can high
Years
point.
ago, but he would get leverage. He would get leverage and get
Yes.
and win.
That's
would.
another big thing. You're right.
Yep.
Playing a
So's this kid.
Leverage.
So's this kid. And both are 6'2.5", by the way. Hightower does it again. Look, the hands are extremely questionable. He needs to get stronger physically. Nothing's changed in that area. He will not get stronger physically until the offseason. But, I mean, he does for right now. He's their Z until Reagor's ready. And the kid makes plays. I mean, he's the designated shot play guy 2 to 3 times a game. That's kind of what he is right now.
Right. All right, let's go. Do you want any other receivers you want to?
Oh, yeah, Greg Ward. Yeah.
Ward, right.
Yeah, it was pointed out to me. As one person who charged because this guy does advance on the Eagles. He goes, Ward wins on every curl route every single time. It's like you kind of know what he's doing, but he wins. And he did it in this game, man. He's so tough and short area, man. He just gets open. It's another really good find for the Eagles. And I would ask them again, why did you cut him 5 times over like a 3 period? What was he not doing?
I know. The one thing about this wide receiver crew that they got now, Adam, aside from Hightower, who we've seen have some drops, is that when you talk about Ward and Fulgham, go back to last year, beginning of the year, nobody could catch passes. Arthega-Whiteside was dropping passes. Aguilar was dropping passes.
Hey, by the way,
Goddard was even dropping passes.
By the way,
I know.
Nelly Nelly had an unreal game against the Bucks. They got smashed, but his touchdown catch was absurd. Anyway,
I know. It's just kind of weird with the Eagles and this wide receiver thing, whether it's Aguilar or Metcalf or McLaurin.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. But no, they're catching the ball well. I agree with you. I think that's been a big development. So I don't want to just put it all on Aaron Moorhead right away, but clearly there's been a good difference. So it's a little feather in the cap on. Good. Yeah. All right, let's get into both tight end and offensive line. But first, download the top-rated DraftKings Sportsbook app today. Use code ITB for a special offer when you sign up. That's code ITB for a special offer when you sign up only at DraftKings Sportsbook. All right, Richard Rodgers, man. What a professional.
I did not see this. I would say that people from other teams who were detractors who told me when I asked about him, he's not the player he was at Cal. I mean, he was pretty good college tight end. He kind of is morphed into this blocking tight end, but every time the Eagles would sign him, he would get hurt. Is this his third time? At least his third time with them, right?
Yes, this is his third time.
Okay. He's been hurt before, but he moved well. It's the best he's ever moved since he's been in the NFL. I mean, he really moved pretty well. And they need it. If they could just get Goddard back after the bye, and whether it's week 10 or 11, I mean, they got something going on here for Wentz in terms of pass targets. We know what we mentioned, the 3 receivers. And then get Reagor back and to get Goddard back with Rodgers. Now you're cooking with oil here, man. Now you got something.
Yeah, I was talking to someone who watches the Eagles games and their tape, and what he's told me was that Rodgers has that, and he did well in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers. He's smart enough at this stage of his career that he just understands how to play a defense's leverage. And the Giants play a lot of cover 2, so the safeties are back, and especially on that last drive, they're just trying not to give up the big play. And Rodgers can see how the linebackers are taking their drops, right? And, either work an in move or an out move, depending on how their leverage is, and just do just enough to get open. And he's very reliable catching the ball. And so that's what you saw. He's not going to catch 10 balls for 100. He's not George Kittle, but when you need a catch and they're going to play a soft zone, he can sit down and catch it for you.
As our friend Herb said on Twitter, he's been a big supporter of ours from day one. He makes a really good point, which is kind of obvious, but we failed to mention it. One of the upsides of all these injuries, you never want to have them as a football team. They've got to look at so many young players they never would have gotten a look at. You know what the nice thing is? Most of them, the results are more positive than negative. That's the thing. It's Driscoll did well before he got hurt. Mailata's doing real well, though he wasn't as good this game. We'll get to him in a minute. Herbig has been a surprise.
That's true.
And Richard Rodgers shouldn't be. I mean, he should never catch any passes because they had 2 tight ends. Whoops, those guys are hurt.
Right.
I mean, the list goes on and on. The Hightower's flashing. He just doesn't catch the ball well enough.
Yeah.
Fulgham, that's the other thing. If Alshon's playing, Geoff, Fulgham probably would not be dressing.
No, probably not.
Yeah, I mean,
might not even be on the team because he was
who
practice
knows?
squad. They may have needed to make a move and released him. You never know.
Right. So all these injuries, they've gotten tremendous evaluations from these players, positive or negative, mostly positive.
Yeah.
So good for them. The negativity, unfortunately, is just with injury. Again, what can you do? But they've learned a lot.
And the draft, I still want to, we can't let the second and third round pick, go unnoticed.
No, well, you talk about
that's not an example of development.
There, well, that Arthega-Whiteside is not developed, and
right. And then of course
Davion Taylor,
and
he's playing a little bit, mostly on special teams, but he probably won't. I would imagine with T.J. Edwards coming back, I doubt he'll play on defense anymore. They don't need him to because they're going to have a full house on what they, of the guys that they have who've played meaningful snaps. So
right.
So
Jalen Hurts is still obviously also kind of someone who's up in the air. I mean, you see him a little bit. Jalen Hurts, the second round.
Yes, it's
hard to know what to make of it.
It's not working right now. I've been in favor of it. You know what I want to see? Let him throw the football. This is what I'd like to take Wentz off the field. You keep running the same nonsense where Wentz won't catch the football.
Mm-hmm.
Just take him off the field.
Right.
I mean, the teams have figured out this package with Wentz on the field and Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you've graduate to the next level. Let Hurts play quarterback. Let him play wildcat quarterback. Read option, zone read, whatever you RP, whatever you want to do. Good, do it and let him. He's got a good arm. That throw against Pittsburgh was a fastball. I know it was a short drop, but I like that. Just expand enough. What they have to do is expand. And I was right, by the way. I was right. Lack of creativity in this game. Route combinations were not as good as they were against Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
That was someone I really trust, who's just started on the Eagles tape because this team is playing the Eagles, and I got to check the schedule. I know it's like week 12 or 13.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, man. He goes, man. This is the first game. I happened to watch this game because that's their last game. He goes, man, if this is what they do, because I warned him. I said, man, they don't. I said overall they don't do anything very creative pre-snap. I said they started to do some really interesting stuff against Pittsburgh, but I think it didn't look good. I said from my eyes on TV, he goes, you're right, it didn't. They didn't do very much, and this guy thought that they'll be fairly easy to figure out. So we'll see, man. I don't know why they can't with Hightower, because why can't you use Hightower on an end around orbit motion? What I see the Niners do it. I see all these teams do it. I don't know why they don't do it.
No, it's weird because I felt like they were doing it week 3, week 4. You're starting to see more motion, pre-snap motion, a little bit of end around, or at least misdirection. And then it seems like now they're not doing. I mean, they did it against. Was it Baltimore? Because there was Jalen Hurts who went in motion and they faked the end around. And, of course, Miles Sanders got a 74-yard. And, I'm not quite sure how much that motion mattered. But
you and I don't agree with that, but I thought it worked.
Yeah. But I think about what you're advocating, though, and how that runs counter what the organization has said. If they take Carson Wentz off the field and put Jalen Hurts on it, then you're not getting the quote-unquote 2 throwers of the football on the field.
Yeah, but you can do that occasionally. Let's say you have Hurts on the field.
Okay, yeah.
Let's say it's 7 to 10 plays a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say they do that at some point. That's where they graduate this to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's half you do with Wentz on the field, half you don't.
Mm-hmm.
You put, and then there could be some plays where, because I watch the Saints a lot, and I love the way what they do with Taysom Hill. They do some stuff with Drew on the field, Drew Brees, and some with them not on the field.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
So split it up a little bit. I'd like to see that.
All right, let's finish off with the offensive line. I mean, we already talked about Opeta a little bit, and just to add to what you had said, I do remember getting a good scouting notebook on him because I remember when they signed him as a rookie free agent last year that they liked him, and the issue with him is almost like a tweener. He played left tackle in college, but he's not a good enough athlete to play left tackle in the NFL. But he is a good guard because he's strong, as you mentioned. He does have power. He has strong hands. They say his hands are very strong. But, I mean, you get thrown in there, baptism by fire, you're going to get run over no matter how strong you are. If your technique is not sound, if you're just not well prepared. I mean, how long has he been practicing at first string left guard? 4 days, right? So I
Right.
mean,
Yeah. Well, it's
so
funny.
it wasn't much to expect.
Like when on that last show when I put that scoop out, I was like, I think it's right. But I couldn't. That's why I asked Jamal and Trey. I'm like, would you do this? Like, could you actually? Because all they had is walkthroughs. Could you learn that? Could you be a starting left guard with only 2 walkthroughs? Like,
Right.
when I'd heard this was going to happen, I'm like, man, I don't agree with this. But what do I know? I'm not a coach. They know what they're doing, and they got away with it. But I would have done something else. But hey, they got through with it. I mean, they got away with it. And
Yeah.
look, the good thing is they got him playing time. Apeta. We'll see if we have no idea what's going to happen with her. It's too early in the week to know what they're going to do in their offensive line this week because we got to see who's available and who's not.
Mm-hmm.
But again, yet another evaluation of a young player that never should have played, or they didn't want to play, but he did, and he wasn't bad. He was not good enough.
Right. Look, I'm curious what you got on Kelsey. I thought he kind of had an up and down type game. Nothing.
Had some plays that he could have been better. Sure, definitely. I would say that their offensive line overall was not quite as good. It's funny how we said the only guy who didn't really play well against the Ravens was Brown, who was horrendous. Like one of the worst games we've ever seen from a guard here.
Right.
But no one was really bad. It just was not kind of where they need things to be. And
yeah, they just don't blow people off the ball. They don't reset the line of scrimmage. Yeah. I mean, you have to temper your expectations.
Remember,
can do.
You mentioned Mailata before. Mailata was not as good as the games before. He wasn't bad. His hand usage, because of the way that they teach, the hands are low. Trey Thomas did an awesome job in his video series several months back about the way that Jeff Stoutland teaches it, and he lets the guys get into him, then they strike, and that's some people don't like it, some get it, but whatever. It's been successful here in Philly. But look, Mailata's going to be a good football player. He's passed all the tests. And then Lane played. Actually, I'm told Lane Johnson played fairly well before he got hurt. The ankle didn't look to be too bad of a problem. So that was that. On anything we left on the offensive line, I think we touched it all.
No, I think that pretty much covers it. Mailata. I mean, Opeta was obviously leaky, and Kelsey wasn't great, and Herbig is Herbig.
He was not quite as good as last week. Right. He was not quite as good as last week. Sure.
All right, let's get into the defense. But first, we always remind our friends, our listeners, about our friends at Manscaped. And I keep telling you, 20% off and free shipping if you go to manscaped.com. Use the code ITB. You know about the crop care kit, the crop cleanser, the lawnmower 3.0 with the advanced skin safe technology. I always remind people that they have great tools for your ears, for your nose, and other areas where you don't want bushy hair growing. So make sure you go to manscaped.com, use that code ITB, and get 20% off along with free shipping. That kind of deal you just can't pass up. All right, let's get into the defense. The defensive line, it's funny. I know the score, Adam, said that the Giants only scored 21 points, and they got after. Could have been way more. They could have been more. They got after Daniel Jones a little bit. Brandon Graham, I felt, came to play there and got the sack. Although
so good,
I do think he was victimized a little bit on the Daniel Jones read option. So, but to me, it looked up and down. I watched, and I think they could have probably generated more. They didn't dominate the way you.
No, I got that wrong. I thought they would destroy them. I'm so kind of stunned that they didn't do as well as I thought. They played, I would say, very. I don't want to say average. It's like kind of uneven. They should have dominated from stem to stern. They just didn't for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So that was a little bit of a disappointment to me, but.
Too leaky in the fourth, by the way. You got to stop Wayne Gallman.
Yeah, how about
he's running all over you? I mean, come on.
Yeah, the run defense was what you would think against a bad run, one of the worst running teams in the National Football League. And until the fourth quarter, it was just odd. Look, okay, the Daniel Jones run. Well, first of all, he falls. He would have scored. I mean, that never should have happened. Evan Ingram beat them. That should have been the end of the game, but he dropped it. I mean,
he gave him the game.
Their defense shocked me. It just, I don't know what happened. I don't know if they got tired. I know it was incredibly warm on Thursday night. It was like almost 80. Game time was around 70, but it was humid.
It was humid, yeah.
I don't know. I was told that run fits were poor in the fourth quarter, mental errors in the secondary, linebackers flashed and then were inconsistent. The good thing is what we'd seen on TV copy was kind of what we heard from tape evaluation is that, they clearly thought that they can blitz up in A or B gaps because you're going against the second or third worst offensive line.
Right.
And they wouldn't know to handle it. So situationally, Schwartz did a good job of picking his time to blitz. But they gave him some plays, man. The touchdown to Golden Tate was not very good. Obviously, that was a problem.
Yeah, I thought the secondary, we talked about this in the game review podcast. Just, Strap is Strap. He's a fourth or fifth cornerback, and he's out there matched up against Sterling Shepard, who catches a touchdown, and he's matched up against Golden Tate, who catches a touchdown as well, right? Sterling Shepard had the second one, right? I think he did. Yeah. And, they're obviously were able to target him and get the matchups that they wanted. But, you hope with Avonte Maddox coming back and then Nickel Roby-Coleman going back to talk inside.
About that. Yeah, I forgot to. So with Maddox, 2 Thursdays, God, I can't remember now. I think it was 2 Thursdays ago. I was told his ankle clearly was not right. That's why he didn't play in that last Sunday game against Baltimore. And then you played 4 days later. It wasn't much better, so he was relegated to almost all special teams. I think he played a couple snaps on defense. So the hope is now that with this mini bye and extra time, you would hope that he's going to start at outside corner because Strap is not. I mean, look, and Roby-Coleman,
he's not starting on the outside.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. No. NRC should go back to the inside. Strap goes back to the bench.
Yeah, you just
or dime, I should say.
Strap watching him. His recovery speed, Strap, is why he's a backup nickel. Just why. Right. You could see it. It's just he's tough. Everybody loves him. It's been a great story. Good waiver claim or whatever. However they got him, I can't remember now. Anyway, he's been a good story, but he is what he is, and I get it because Maddox has been hurt, and they cut Trevor Williams. He also got hurt before they cut him. They're down to very few corners, so they have what they have.
Right. Yes, they've survived with what they have. You mentioned linebackers real quick. I mean, if you're grading on a curve, which I think was what we have to do with these linebackers, you say that this is probably their best game of the year, which doesn't say much, but I mean, they weren't victimized or, Evan Ingram didn't kill him. He could have had a couple of catches that went, the last one obviously, but Alex Singleton had a really nice blitz where he trucked Devontae Freeman on the way to dropping Daniel Jones. And there was just nothing so egregious that you're just scratching your head, right? I mean, did you get an idea of who might have been at fault on the Daniel Jones? Because somebody should have been in that gap, even if Brandon over-pursues.
It was the Daniel Jones was McLeod, or I think you said Brandon Graham.
Well, Graham I know crashes, but still somebody's got to fill that gap.
Right, I'd heard it was I heard it was 23. What numbers?
23. Yeah, that's McLeod. Yeah, that's what I figured it was.
But anyway. Overall, there were some good things or some disappointing things. Overall, I was disappointed with the defense because they should have killed them. But look, they get paid too. I've not been a fan at all of Jason Garrett's play calling this season. I think he's been unbelievably disappointing and conservative. But man, Shepard beat him on crossers, which is all. That's everything. That's his whole route tree is crossers.
Right.
He got him. I did give Darius Slay credit for the times he was on Darius Slay and he shut him down.
Yeah.
Which is why I benched him. And I had him in 6 of my 7 fantasy leagues. I benched him because I knew that he wouldn't do well in those. I just knew it was not a good game to play him. That Tate play, that was a good catch by him. I didn't know if he'd be able to hold the ball there because it was kind of pressed against his body. But
right,
that's it pretty much through linebacker.
Yeah. All right, so that's the defense.
Yeah, and secondary. Yep, that's pretty much it.
We'll make sure to go through more on the transactions and of course the trade deadline in our Wednesday morning pod. It'll drop at 6 a.m. like it always does. That'll do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. Big thanks to our producer Hunter Brody. Check him out on YouTube, Sports Talk with Broads, and make sure you're checking out his Twitter account at Broads81. And as always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.